Brian,
Howdy.
we're back.
We are here.
Yeah, it's another weekly update. It is the beginning of May. We're definitely well into spring at this point, I feel like. Strauss joining us as well here.
Hi.
So we are operating with new mics, so people may we may sound different to everyone, me and you. Strauss on the old mic system, so it's a good way for people to compare the difference between the DJI mics that me and you were wearing, opposed to the Rode mic that Strauss gotten. So no more of that weird echo stuff. I think we've corrected it. Or there'll be no sound and people will just hear Strauss talk the whole time.
No, I don't want people to hear me talk the entire time.
So yeah, I figured we would go through tonight looking at we're doing for May's giveaway, we're doing a whole Muc-Off bundle, basically a lifetime supply of Muc-Off products. A liter of dry chain lube, which grab that for them, the lube there. So a liter of dry chain lube.
Yeah, I don't think I've used this much chain lube in the last 2 years, and I ride a couple days a week. So literal lifetime supply.
I think it would take us here at the shop probably, at least a few months to get through that.
Yeah, and that's it, shop using it on multiple bikes a day.
Yeah, so we have the giant Muc-Off stand. Oh, and then behind me is all the Fox bags. Those are 20% off this week if people are watching current. And then on the other side, pants and long sleeve jerseys, because it's May, they're 40% off. So that's all till Sunday. So if you're watching this later on, then I don't know what to tell you. We probably won't have any pants left, but we might be pantsless but by the time people are watching this.
Could happen.
Anyway, back on task. The Muc-Off stuff's great. We use it here in the shop. They've got the waterless wash. They've got the bike cleaner. So in the giveaway for this month, we've got it's a 5-liter jug of Muc-Off cleaner. You use that back in the shop, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, spray every bike down with that.
Yeah, and you don't, I still wouldn't spray it on my rotors specifically, but it is safe to do so. So if it gets on your rotors, you're not going to cause any issues. You can just rinse it off with water. So that's really nice with the Muc-Off stuff. Use minimal water on your bike, please. Try to avoid it, maybe out of a spray bottle.
Yeah, that's a huge thing that I try and tell everyone is hosing down a bike is, if you can avoid it, definitely do. Even if your bike's caked in mud, just use like a little plastic something and scrape the bulk of the mud off and then go over it with a rag and muck off. And there's really no reason that you would need to get a hose out on a bike. And for those wondering why, it's because the water will work its way into the spokes and corrode the nipples over time and lock them up, and then you can't turn the nipples to true your wheel, or they'll start breaking and you won't know that that's the case. So you'll replace a spoke. A week later, another one breaks, you replace it, and it's an endless process of corroded spoke nipples and spokes breaking, and it ends up being new wheels over time. And that doesn't happen until like a year or 2 years into consistently washing your bike after every ride. So it's hard for people to understand it when they don't see the downside of it. But as a mechanic who does see it, highly recommend that you keep the water away from the bikes when you can.
Yeah, not only that, but like bottom brackets as well. So especially if you have like an FSA headset, if you get any water in there, it's definitely just rusting immediately. Bottom brackets too. Now that everybody's got internal routing on their frames, there's already a bunch of moisture and stuff getting in there. So once it gets in the dark recesses of your frame, it'll settle in at the bottom bracket. You've got grease and bearings down there that are just going to get caked with rust and need to be replaced faster if you do that. So yeah, I always recommend for our customers I like the waterless stuff from Muc-Off. So we've got that on the rack there. I'm working as Mr. Director tonight. But our package, just to kind of wrap it up, it's a 5-liter thing, and then it's the whole toolbox from Muc-Off, which is nice.
Yeah, so you get some scrub brushes and get some more little cleaners and whatnot in there.
And I'm looking over your shoulder right now at that big spray bottle. So for the month of May, people get double entry. So you get entered into to win the monthly contest by making a purchase in store, or you can share the Facebook post, or you can tag a friend on Instagram. There's really nothing you can do on YouTube. You could like it for me. I don't know if I can actually find out who liked it to get an entry, but make sure if you share on Facebook, it's public. But if you bring in your bike cleaner, your empty jug of bike cleaner, I think they're like $14 or $16.99. You'll bring back that empty bottle, and you'll fill this up for 50% off the price of a new bottle. So same stuff, put it right in there. Then we give you 2 entries. So you would normally just get one, but since we want to help promote being green as we go into spring, then you get 2 entries for that. So bonus entries. That's pretty important, don't you think, Straus?
Very exciting.
Okay. But yeah, I like the waterless stuff. The waterless stuff, actually, that's what I use on my motorcycle. I use it on the bikes. If someone buys a bike, I'll hit it with that. The waterless stuff smells really good. We use that in bulk in the back. We've got a 5-liter jug, so we refill our bottles as well because we're conscious of the environment. But every time I go to look down at this screen, I should have just kept it on the stand. This is not a good idea. I opened you back up. You weren't on screen for the longest time, Ryan. But the waterless stuff, do you notice the difference if you're using our bike cleaner versus the waterless?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so well, what'll happen, and it's good for because most of the time if your bike's dirty, it's just dusty. So, if you take a wet rag and just wipe your bike down, you're going to be grinding all that dust and dirt into the frame. So the waterless is actually like a polymer-based deal. I'm not sure exact chemistry on how it makes it happen, but it micro encapsulates the dirt and actually pulls the dirt up off the surface. So kind of like, those old Scrubby Bubbles commercials and stuff. So you're pulling it up off the surface. So that way when you wipe it down with your microfiber towel, it just all wipes right off. And it's also going to help leave behind a little bit of a protective layer so that your bike doesn't get as dirty the next time, or it wipes clean easier. Because you should be wiping down your bike between every ride. And that's why I wanted to do Muc-Off for this one, especially as people are getting back in the season of riding. It's super important that we're keeping our bikes clean. It's going to help the parts last longer, but the most important reason, when you wipe down your bike, you're going to notice if something's wrong. You're going to notice if something's out of adjustment, if something's broken, if something's rubbing. If you don't wipe down your bike between every ride, you could go 3 or 4 rides while there's a cable rubbing your frame and the paint's gone, whereas if you were wiping your bike down between every ride, you would have very quickly noticed that when it was just a small spot. I ran into that issue over it was on my bike, but on my motorcycle, I wipe it down between every ride. I hit it with the waterless from Muc-Off. Get it cleaned up, all the paint surfaces, everything. And I noticed that there was actually, my crash bars had split at the weld. So had I not wiped down my bike thoroughly, that was in a crevice, not a normal place people would probably clean things. I didn't see it on the bike. Who knows how, well, I know it's only been there for 1 ride. So, yeah, wipe your stuff down. It'll help you notice if there's an issue.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I always start by wiping down a bike when I work on it in the stand, and that's how I'll get it in the stand, I'll see what it needs, and then I'll wipe it down and realize it needs 10% more than I originally thought. And so it's that wipe down process where I'm just going over and feeling every part of the bike, and I'm like, oh, yep, that'll need some work, and it is noticeable how many things you can just find in a quick wipe down.
Super important. The kit comes with a microfiber towel like we were talking about. It doesn't come with the waterless, but it does come with a 1-liter bottle of bike cleaner in there, and then you can use your 5-liter to refill that. There's drivetrain cleaner in there. If you have the Muc-Off concentrate, that can double as a drivetrain cleaner.
It's also got the bike protections, like you were saying, how the dry leaves a thin film over to kind of protect it and help it wipe off easier. And they also actually make the bike protection spray, so it'll do even a better job of that.
Well, in the Bike Protect, as a lubricant, it's good to place kind of in areas where water might sit to kind of help keep that from happening. So and I would say, the Bike Protect is safe to spray around any of your moving, like your suspension pivots, so, at the rocker pivot, stuff like that. Because a lot of times, you'd be surprised. You've taken apart a good amount of full suspension bikes. There's not always bearings everywhere on all these bikes. A lot of times it's just bushings, it's metal on metal, it's scary sometimes on some of these kind of internet bikes that come in and stuff. Thoughts? I had to stop talking earlier because this Red Bull that I'm drinking was creating bubbles.
It's time to drink them.
I know. That's it. We do free Red Bulls on Saturday. People always forget, and they'll see the video like the later in the day, because I announce it every Saturday. And if I ever don't announce free Red Bulls on Saturday, then that means I'm not doing it anymore. It may be forever, though.
It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, free Red Bulls. I don't drink beer, so I thought that would be a better way to go. Straus, how do you feel about bike cleaner?
I mean, I pretty much agree with everything that both of you are saying. So.
What's your favorite Muc-Off product?
I am not the person to ask. It would be one of you two.
Adam, favorite Muc-Off product?
Waterless wash, easily.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and then the chain lube's really nice. The Muc-Off chain lube, A, it works well, but B, it doesn't make a mess. So like, I'm particular about I'm not gonna miss, any roller. So everywhere where chains meet, I'm gonna put lube right there, and I'm gonna put 1 drop of lube on it. So with the Muc-Off stuff, it's really easy to be super particular and just hit that, and you're not gonna drip any on the ground. So if you're maybe somebody who works on the bike, in your basement, inside your house, whatever it may be, then the Muc-Off stuff is a really good solution because it's not going to be messy. And you can just put like 1 drop on every roller all the way around, take your time, wipe it all right back off.
Yeah.
People don't lube their chain enough either. That's
No.
crazy to me.
No, even I don't as a mechanic. I will
That's
100%
crazy to me. You're
admit
fired.
that I don't lube my chain enough. It's probably because I'm like, oh, I'll replace it, whatever. But yeah, I could probably stand to lube my chain about twice as often as I do, and that would not be over lubing it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would hold true for just about everybody, honestly.
I agree.
It shouldn't for the mechanic, but
Strassi,
Yes.
please hand in your apron on your way out this evening. Make sure you put
I
the
wipe my
hands in his
stanchions
apron.
down, though. I always wipe the stanchions down.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's fun working in a bike shop, huh? There's all kinds of weird things.
It is really fun, and a lot of really interesting people come in that we get to talk to too, especially on weekends.
Yeah, we were discussing before we started recording tonight that maybe we would start secretly recording our customers and then putting it on the internet for everyone to see.
Yeah, I mean, just the other day, I had a great, hour and a half after hours chat with one of our customers, and we got into some pretty cool details. He was a knowledgeable guy, so it was fun to chat and something we can both connect on and talk a lot. And that's something that some other people might want to hear, too, because we get into, some pretty niche and detailed things with customers that they and us actually know a lot about, and then a conversation happens that you just wouldn't hear of most other places.
Yeah, I love it, because obviously people who mountain bike, they really geek out on YouTube videos and doing their research before they upgrade something. And there's no way I can spend, 2 weeks on a certain hub that this person's been researching for the last 2 weeks.
Right.
So they've watched hundreds of hours and formulated an opinion. So, and, we're able to ask, we know the right questions to ask to get the information we want out of them.
Right.
So it's almost like we get to just kind of read the cliff notes of what all the research they did was.
That's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm. And then the cool thing for me is, since we're here at the shop every day, we can then kind of take what they say and then put, even if it's a product I don't know anything about, brand new product comes out, blah, 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 blah. A customer can come in and, there's principles that transfer over from other things that we can then kind of help them hone in, what they're looking for, what certain things mean, or how that's going to perform different on the trail or whatever it may be. So yeah, it is really fun to do. Ideally we'll get to doing more kind of bike setup or more bike, Midwest specific stuff. Because I think most of the things you see on YouTube are going to end up being,
Your
West
Western
Coast.
senders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to parse, if someone's doing a bike review and all they do is ride, in the Pacific Northwest, well, their opinion on what a good bike is means nothing. I mean, it means something, but
Right.
it's less useful to me here in the Midwest. Now we have pretty gnarly trail. We get customers in here all the time, from Colorado, from the Pacific Northwest, from Canada, from Alaska, from Hawaii. Mountain bikers from all over are used to riding legit mountain trails. And they'll ride around here in Eureka. They'll ride Green, Zombie. They normally don't go to Chubb, but even if they do, but it's always good reports we get back. It's like, oh wow, you guys is like, pretty blown away by how, and then like, cause expectations are so low, but then like they ride it and then they're just blown away cause they're like, holy smokes, like it should not have been that much fun or that good. So our trails are really well built here thanks to Gork. I mean, they've been building them for 20 years and do an amazing job. So if people aren't a member at Gork, I noticed their membership numbers aren't quite where they were a couple years ago. Maybe during the pandemic, people forgot to renew their memberships there. So
what are some things that go along with being a member?
Since the parks are free, it's your way of putting something towards getting to enjoy and ride the trails. So, and then like Gork is, they paid for the Bluffview Trail when they had the builder that's finishing up at Eureka Mountain Bike Park.
Mm-hmm.
When he was out there, they paid him. They buy tools with it. The equipment. They bought like some sort of walk behind dozer last year.
Do they ever
and the year
have
before.
like trail service days? Like if you're a member, can you figure out when they're going to work on the trail and go out there and help out?
It's so funny. The sun has set behind you. I'm in perfect light. Straussy's in like kind of like a mid dreamy light.
How am I looking?
And then you are just in the darkness.
How about now? Now?
Like your whole corner, you'd almost have to sit on the floor to get into the light again, which I'm not recommending. There you go. Now you're just whitewashed. No. So it'll get better as we continue here. We'll be wrapping it up shortly. But yeah, no, Gork has work days on Saturdays, 9 a.m. They're currently in their spring build schedule, so go on their website, sign up, be a member. You need to do that on the website. They also have all the trail maps behind you, Ryan. Those are all Gork trail maps. So we print those out because they're easiest to read. That's what we show all the people in from Colorado on where they should ride and specifically what trail. And then if you go on Gork Trails, the other nice thing why we send our visitors there and why anybody who rides in St. Louis should go there is any of the trails on there are going to have a steward. They're going to have work days when needed. Trails are going to be cleared. Those are going to be legit mountain bike trails. I think sometimes whether you're on trail forks or all trails, if you're in a newer area, especially an area like Missouri, you're like, is this really a mountain bike trail or is this like,
right,
gravel or, a mess or no one's been there in 10 years. So if you go to gorktrails.com, that's going to have a steward and Gork's looking after that. And that's why it's $20. Maybe it's gone up to $25. I don't even think that. I think it's still $20 to be a Gork member. You just pay $20 once a year. You can set it to auto renew. You do a family membership. But yeah, that's an important thing to do if you're going to ride trails. Our parks are free, and that's why it's funny because everybody. I think things are getting a little bit better out there in the world, but there is a little bit of like. Some people are worried about the economy a bit. And I remember thinking like, oh yeah, that's why I got into mountain biking. It was really around like 2009-ish when I really got into it. Mm-hmm. We were coming out of, I don't know if they call it what do they call it? Recession. So we were coming out of the recession. I was broke, but I invested in my bike. And then I was like, well, I want to have the mountain bike because I know no matter what, like as long as I have enough gas to get to the trail, I can always ride my mountain bike. That was, that got me through probably like 5 years of not having any money because I always had something to do every day. Yeah. I mean, I was working too, but something enjoyable I could do without spending money. Mm-hmm. Except for I'd break stuff a lot. At that time, 2009, head tube angles weren't as slack as they are now, and like bars were skinnier, and I was on 3x, so, I mean, there's a lot of going over the bars, and I was on 26-inch wheels at one time. Yep. Did any of your mountain bikes ever have 26-inch wheels?
I did. I started on a 20-inch hardtail at Diamondback Response XE. It was my first real mountain bike with disc brakes that I got from Dick's Sporting Goods, and that was a 2x.
Did your dad mountain bike?
No.
Why did you get a mountain bike, a 20-inch mountain bike?
I kind of pioneered biking in my family. Not many people mentioned it to me or showed me or anything. My parents didn't do it. None of my cousins were into it or anything. I had a buddy in grade school. He used to ride dirt bikes and stuff. I thought that was cool, so I eventually got a dirt bike. My dad used to ride dirt bikes, so I'd go riding with him. And dirt biking was fun, but it was only every other weekend or whatnot, take the whole day, pack everything up, and go ride. And so then I realized bikes are like an easy access to get wheels under my feet and handlebars in my hands without having to do a
How did
whole
you figure
day.
out where the trails were?
I just started riding like around my house and whatnot on a 20-inch bike until I just completely maxed it out. Then that's when I got the Diamondback and started going around and.
It's funny you say that. It made me think like, oh yeah, like all of us were pioneers. Like nobody before 3 years ago knew any, like if you rode mountain bikes, you were the only person, unless, you know, it was somebody you met while you were mountain biking.
Right.
But you were the only person you knew that you didn't meet on a mountain bike that even knew what mountain biking was.
Right. That's why I was blown away because like growing up here, like you see someone with a $5,000 bike very rarely. And, like, not that many people, like, know that much about a bike and have it, just in the general public. Like, if you go out to a trail, you're going to see nice bikes. But if you're going down the highway in Missouri and someone passes you with a bike on the back of their car, the chances of that actually being, like, a high-end mountain bike, pretty low. Right. And then I went out to Arizona, and I was just, like, getting food on campus one day, and 3 guys rode by on Santa Cruz mountain bikes. I was like, no way. And just went and caught up with them, and they're like, yeah, man. They showed me the trails around Phoenix, and that was like, first year I was out there, and they kind of showed me around, so it was cool to just see all the people out there that actually are with the program. Yeah,
if we could get Hidden Valley to put a lift at the ski resort and build some mountain bike trails and outfit the lift, or even just let people pedal to the top, that would be fine. There's literally golf cart paths that you could just pedal your bike right up to the top of all the hills. It wouldn't be a big deal.
Especially not with an e-bike.
It's like 350 feet of elevation.
Right.
So, I don't know. Maybe they'll do that one day, and then we can become a Midwest mountain bike destination.
I mean, they could, because they have, like, Hidden Valley doesn't allow skiing in the trees, really. So they could do mountain bike trails through the skis, or through the tree runs in between the ski groomers.
Which would protect the trails as well.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Gork, get on it. If Gork gets to 1,000 members, maybe they'll have the poll to say, Hidden Valley, do this. That would be fun.
Sweet. I've been waiting for that for my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be neat. So we are well over time for this evening's podcast. Strausy, I'm glad we mic'd you up tonight. Thank you for participating in tonight's episode. And behind you, obviously, the monthly giveaway. People have to like and subscribe on YouTube. We announced a couple days ago, me and Strausy did, that I was going to give away a full suspension mountain bike once we got to 1,000 subscribers. And it might be, I have a bike in mind that's going to be very interesting. And let's just say it's a bike nobody in St. Louis owns anything like. Ooh. It would be very special. So that would be fun.
That would be.
I think you know what bike I'm talking about.
I don't know if I do.
Full suspension bike.
I do, but it's
no one in St. Louis, I mean, some people in St. Louis, but a handful of people in St. Louis have one. And not this one specifically, but even this type of bike.
All right.
So it would be very unique to have. That's what we'll give away at 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube. So jump over there for me. Subscribe on YouTube. If anyone's listening at this point, they have to go to YouTube and subscribe because it would be ridiculous to listen to a podcast for 25 minutes. Be like, no, I'm not going to go over and subscribe. But, and then tune in for the monthly giveaway. Dustin, I shouldn't call him Little Dustin. Dustin won the Garmin 4Runner watch. We didn't pull his name because he wouldn't have been eligible to be in the drawing, but he was able to answer the trivia question on when we opened. So he won it just for being in the chat. I think he was one of 5 people in the chat on Instagram.
And that's because the 5 people that we pulled actually weren't on the live, so
Correct.
They lost out on the chance to get the watch.
Yep, silly gooses. And one of the first name we called, he got a notification 10 minutes after. It is 8 p.m. on the 1st of the month every month. We don't mess around on that because I thought we got to make this easy because I didn't want what happened last night. This guy got notified a few minutes after we had announced his name, chimed in a little bit too late.
Usually we end up jumping on the live a little bit earlier too if we can, and then
I told him we
names
would.
At 8.
Yeah, I told him we would. So.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, till next week and till next month.
All righty.